Hi, dear students. A very good morning to you all. This is once again Dr. Prasanna T from Government First Grade Women's College, Shumaga. Today we are going to discuss on the topic placement and induction, which is the session of 42. So, dear students, in the previous sessions, we have discussed the many issues relating to the human resource management, especially recruitment and selection. Particularly, either it may be group discussion or it may be the test interviews and their types, and also the many issues which is relating to the recruitment and selection process. And also we studied the process of recruitment and also the policy of recruitment. Moving on to the session 42, where I have chosen to give a lecture on the topic placement and induction. So here I am going to start with giving an introduction to what it is all about placement and introduction. According to Pigors and Mayers, placement may be defined as the determination of the job to which a selected candidate is to be assigned and his assignment to the job. It is matching of what the supervisor has a reason to think he can do with the job requirement, that is on job demands. It is matching of what he imposes in strain and working conditions and what he offers in the form of payroll with other promotional possibilities, etc. This is what the statement opines by Pigors and Mayers. What actually they are telling in their definition, it's all about on placement and induction. Placement is one where it is a determination of job should be described by the selected candidate which should be assigned. See, there is a one issue that according to the manpower requirement, if there is a demand is there, at the same time to fulfill those demand according to the working conditions, that is one is demand side is there, another one is supply side is there, what offers in the form of payroll and also with some sort of including of promotional possibilities, particularly in that job. This is what the statement given by the famous thinkers, particularly on human resource management by Pigors and Mayers. According to Edwin B. Flippo, induction is concerned with introducing or orienting a new employee to the organization. It is the welcoming process to make the new employee feel at home and generate in him a feeling of belongingness to the organization. This is a wonderful statement given by Edwin B. Flippo. What actually is telling in his statement that induction is relating to introducing and also orienting to the new employee to that particular organization and also to the companies, either it may be in the public sector or it may be in the private sector. This is the welcoming process of that new employee or to the refresher who is newly recruited to that company. And then giving that orientation and then that induction program to the new employee, it is nothing but there is some sort of the employee will get little bit of attachment to organization, and then further he will give a good number of what you call the performance may increase. At the same time his behavior, attitude altogether are going to be a nearness to the organization, in fact as a result which will leads the production level of that organization. See, dear students, here I want to make it the induction, why we are going to give induction to the new employee. For example, I will take here one best example that we in the college that we are going to provide induction program or orientation program to especially to the first year BA or BCom or BS students, because induction program is one that where we are going to analyze everything what actually we are having in the college. Either it may be the academic part, or it may be the non-academic part, or it may be the curriculum part, or you may call it as non-curriculum part. So what activities we are involving in our college, and then what activities we are having, and then what are the advantages are there in our college, and then what type of the human resource are there in that college. Everything will be described to you people in the first class itself, to the first year students, particularly while they are getting their admission after completing of their pre-university college. After completing their pre-university college, when they are going to get the admission to degree colleges, undergraduate colleges, automatically we will have such types of orientation to you, because that orientation program may leads to the students that which will have the stimulant, or you may call it as encourage to the students, that what the atmosphere, what type of nature, and then what type of scope we are having in our college, we have to be elaborate in detail. This is my words, my perspective, or my example that I have given to you, dear students. This is what they meant by Edwin B. Pliffo also, that is induction is concerned with introducing a new orient program to the employer, employee to the organization, who will get new appointment to from that organization. He will only get this types of induction, or you may call it as orientation training program, especially to the new employees. So these are all the two statement that given by Pigors and Mayers, and also the Edwin B. Pliffo. Moving on to the next slide, that where I mentioned that how right placement of workers can have the following advantages. So there are 5 advantages that I have mentioned here took the right workers. Number 1 is reduced labor turnover rate, reduced absenteeism rate. Number 3 is increased safety of workers and lower the accidents, and then increased morale of workers, and then 5th one is better human relationship in the organization. So this is how right placement, if you are going to make it out to the workers, there is a good number of advantages we may find. These are all I mentioned. That is, there is a good relationship between the employee and the organization maybe taken place, and then workers, if you are they are going to have a little bit of morality to do the work, because according to the mechanized or scientific salary that they are taking, and then at the same time they have to cope up with the good performance in an organization. And also at the same time, the workers must looking towards safety and they lower the accidents, which is also one of the best advantage in the right placement. And a little bit of there is a reduce of absenteeism is also one best aspect, where we are going to get one of the best advantage in the right placement. Because if that according to that employee qualification, specialization, and then skills that we are going to use him in a proper what do you call the proper way, or by providing a proper job to him, definitely it is nothing but a right placement to that right worker. And then there are some of advantages to be appears in the organization. And also there is a labor turnover rate may be reduced, because if labor is going to give many cause to get absenteeism, it may reduce it if you are going to provide right placement. So these are all the 5 advantages that I have mentioned there in my second slide of my PPT, that is reduced labor turnover, and then reduced absenteeism rate, increased safety of workers and lower accidents, increased morale of workers, better human relationship in the organization. So, placement is not an easy process, as I said in the earlier. It is a tough ask, and then it had its own monitoring by according to the recruitment policy. It is very difficult to adjust for a new employee who is quite unknown to the job and environment at there in the organization or in the company. For this reason, the employee is generally put on the probation period ranging from 1 year to 2 years. So, for example, this is what things could be happening in the both private sector and then public sector. In the government sector, the government always very much keen to see the activities and then attitude of that employee or of that officer, where up to 2 years he must maintain little bit of decency, and then have to maintain discipline in the workplace. Otherwise, within that 2 years, he may be punished from the department, or he may be get suspended from the department. Within that 2 years, he must always complete the departmental examination, where the government is going to conduct such types of departmental examination twice in a year. And after completion of the departmental exam, that employee or that officer or that candidate must complete one orientation program and one refresher course to complete his probation period, especially in the government sector. But here there is a placement which is not a big task. Actually, it is a big task, but it is not an easy process. Actually, what I said in my the study material or in my PPT, I mentioned it there. Generally, there should be a reason for this, that employee must be accurate in this way, that he must have little bit of induction. Then only it is possible to move on in his workplace. So, moving on to the next slide of that my PPT, where there is a little bit of we have to keep in mind by considering the taking the placement decision, that the following consideration or principle must be in the kept in mind while we are going to make a placement. Okay, after recruitment process and then selection process is going to be done by that organization, the placement decision is a tough ask, that how he is going to place in which nature of work, or on what specification, on what description of job we will be rectified it, and then after that we are going to make sure and then ensure that this employee may able to work in this nature of workplace, and then we will going to drag him and then put it there in that safest place, that where you want to get work satisfactorily. So there are many principles that we are following in the placement decision. Number one is job requirements. Number two is suitable qualification. Number three is adequate information to the job incumbent. Number four is commitment and loyalty. And number five is flexibility. So these are all the five principles and then five consideration that the human resource recruiter is going to make it out while doing the placement decision. So what are those five items that I said point wise? Let us elaborate in detail to understand better that what it is all about. Number one is job requirements. An employee should be placed on the job according to the requirements of the job, such as physical and mental ability, eyesight, hearing, stress, etc. The job should not be adjusted according to the qualification and the abilities of the employees. This is how we will make it out the manpower requirements relating to the job as far as the recruitment are concerned, or you may call it as placement decision are concerned. Number two is suitable qualifications. The job should be offered to only that person who is suitably qualified. Overqualified and underqualified persons might create problems for the organization in the long run period. This is the decision has to be taken by the recruiter to place that employee, that what type of qualification, by having that employee, and then according to that the recruiter must place to that employee according to the suitable qualification. Number three is adequate information to the job incumbent. The employee should be provided with the complete information and facts relating to the job incumbency, where it is including the working conditions prevailing in the firm. He should always treat in a good manner, and also he should also be made known to the rewards associated with the performance level. See, this is what the I want to mention here, that if employee is going to be supporting by the organization by having a little bit of rewards and then awards and then incentives, then only it is possible to get at the production level may increase, and also effectiveness of that organization may increase. At the same time, the level of performance of that particular employee will also increase. The fourth one is commitment and loyalty. While placing the new employee, an effort should be made to develop a sense of commitment, loyalty, and cooperation in his mind, so that he may realize his responsibilities better towards the job, the organization, and his associates. So, this is one where the loyalty and then the commitment and then punctuality, honesty must be comes together to that employee, because if we are not going to have these types of consideration or these types of principles while we are making the placement decision, then I won't think so that there should be a simply the way in which that you are going to do, then there is a little bit of worry to that organization. Commitment and loyalty are two important principles that I have to maintain, but that the human resource manager particularly while making the decision of placement. Last but not least, it is a flexibility. This is one important principle that has to be maintained in the organization, because after appointing or after selecting, after giving placement to that employee, if there is no flexibility in there in the workplace, I don't think so that he is going to give a good performance in the working place. The placement in the initial period may be temporary, as changes are likely after the completion of the training. The employee may be later transferred to the job where he can better justice. This is one thing that we have to be give identified both in private sector and also government sector. Government sector, it is possibilities are there, because we have to be give that work who is having more knowledge about that work. Okay, so this is how government sector also must do, because not having computer knowledge and then assign that work which is having computer work, I don't think so this is mean at all. If we expect a little bit from the employee, giving flexibility and then giving full freedom to the employee, then only it is possible to get a good performance from that employee. So these are all the five principles, or you may call it as the five consideration to be taken place that human resource manager while considering the placement decision in the organization or in the companies. They are, once again I want to mention here, job requirements, suitable qualifications, adequate information to the job incumbent, and then commitment and loyalty, and also last one is flexibility and some sort of there is a extent of freedom. So this with this I want to move on to the another issue in my next slide, that is induction. So the first part I discussed about the placement, and in the second part I want to discuss the induction here, as I mentioned in the previous talk. Induction of the employees, according to Edwin B. Plifo, that induction is concerned with the introducing or orienting a new employee to the organization. It is the welcoming process to make the new employee feel at home and to generate in him a feeling of belongingness to the organization. It is first step in the proper communication policy which seeks to build a two-way channel of information between the management and the employee. If this is not happening by that organization, not having any induction or not having any orientation program, I don't think so there is a good relationship is going on between management and then employee. So if employee and then management are to be go parallel in a sequence manner according to the workforce, they must have little bit of not little bit, there are one or two induction program must be done by that organization. The same thing is highlighted and then stressed by one of the finest thinker on resource management, that is Edwin B. Flippo. The new employee on his joining the organization must be helped to get adjusted and acquainted with the fellow employee and to the work environment, rather than leaving him to make his own way through the organization. It is much better to properly and systematically introduce him to the company, its philosophy, its place in the industry or economy, its major policies, etc., are to be considered. This phase of induction is properly handled by the personnel department. Some large organizations shows pictures telling about their history and operation to give a better idea of the company to the new employees who have joined. The new employees also given the necessary information about the canteen, lunch period, rest hours, convenience facilities, etc. These things could be given by the organizer or the human resource manager to that particular issues, that where a new employee will get or access easily to the canteen, or he must have the knowledge of lunch period, or he must have the knowledge of rest hours, or he must have that type of issues relating to the convenience facilities, where he is going to give more performance or good performance, particularly in his job. A complete induction program also consists of a follow-up of after a few weeks to the ascertain how well the new employee has adjusted himself with his job and environment. This provides an opportunity to clarify or remove any misunderstanding in him. So, but then also it is if any employee is not found adjusted after that, it may be the case of wrong selection or wrong placement. It thus gives an early warning of the latter trouble. In any case, the follow-up interview enhances the employee's satisfaction by demonstrating to him the company's interest in his welfare. See, this is one point I want to highlight here: the welfare of the employee must be concerned by that organization, because if the welfare of the employee will not be concerned by the companies or the organization, the level of satisfaction by that employee may not be increased. And also at the same time, a nature of adjustment should be necessary while doing or the process of induction to that employee, in particular what we are going to consider. So this is what all about the induction of employee, where Edwin B. Flippo and then many others are making. And then I also made my own statement, particularly regarding to the induction to the employee, because being a personality development and then life skills trainer, that I want to express these types of issues particularly to my students. Nonetheless, there are a little bit of that how to face the society is also very much important as far as the student fraternity are concerned. So this is what the induction of employee is all about. Moving on to the next slide, where the many contents of induction program are I mentioned in my slides. So this is what the induction program consists all about. The topic relating to the induction program are like this. Say for example, particularly I am mentioning these items. There are 10 items that I mentioned. There are 10 factors that I mentioned, which is only relating to the organization and to the company. Many of these factors may interlink with the colleges, universities, and also to the other sectors or other departments or other branches which are related to the both private sector and then public sector also. So these are all the topics to be covered in the induction. Number one is companies history, mission, vision, and then philosophy. So this is mission and then vision must be highlight by that company, because without having any vision and then mission, I don't think so that department is going to give more importance to the excellence of education or excellence of the quality education, or the level of performance may increase particularly in the organization. And then second one is products and services of the company. Company's organization structure, location of departments and then employee services, employees activities like clubs, credit society. This one thing I want to highlight, because employee activities like clubs and then credit society must be support. There, one example I want to give, clubs and then credit society. Many graduate societies, many postgraduate societies, or many army societies, and also such other clubs relating to the to encourage the human resource are there, and then they established their own. In here in Shumaga, there are Arakanet association clubs are there to only to give more stimulant and then impetus, or you may call it as encourage to the employee. And the next one is personal policies and then procedures, as I said in the previous session, standing orders, rules and regulations, terms and condition of services, and then last one is grievances procedures. So these are all the main important content that should be incorporated in the induction program, if possible, in the organization or in the company. But here in the universities and then colleges, that we are going to have the two important factors. One is academic and then non-academic issues. Academic issues, we are going to say the department wise, and then non-academic issues that we are going to have the activities which is relating to the maybe the NCC, NSS, sports, for that matter, Red Cross, or the other issues. All these issues are working under the internal quality assurance cell. So this is what in the college part, but here all these topics are relating to the organization and then and in the companies. It may interlink with the other branches and then departments which are closely associated with the public and then private sector. So this is what I want to explain the contents of induction program. With this, dear students, I will stop here. Again, this is the lengthy lecture. So let me stop here and then moving on. Yes, this is the last slide as I taken as a source of references in the last slide. Again, I want to make it detailed in in this reference. That is, one is Ashwathappa A, Edwin B. Filippo, Gary Dessler, and then Bijuwarki, George Bolander and Scott Snell, and then Memoria CB, and then Gangankar SV, and then last one is Subbarao, which is the wonderful books are there I have taken to study this human resource management, and also I taken as a source of reference to prepare these types of materials. So dear students, I will stop here with this. This is the topic on placement and induction of session 42. I will come up with a new topic in the new session. With this, bye bye.